Now, CIL 650 presents It's Your Money, an up-close and personal look at your finances. Here's your host, Fred Snyder.
Up in the morning and out to school.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there, we are back. We're back to talk about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. And most of us fail in that endeavor. Statistically, if you take a look at 100 people who started equal today at the age of 25, by the time they end up at 65, 1 is rich or wealthy, 4 are well-to-do, 5 are still working, 36 are dead, and the remaining 54 are dead broke, dependent on family and state. Sad state of affairs. And I frankly believe the major reason why people fail financially is the lack of a financial plan. A financial plan is a blueprint to your future financial success. A financial plan is a way to get your financial future going today. Take that step. Get yourself a financial plan. I'm talking to a lot of people right now. There's probably 4 or 5, maybe 6,000 people listening to this show right now. So the vast majority of the people who are listening to this show right now do not have a written financial plan. More than likely, they're not very successful financially either. Some of the people listening to this show have a financial plan, but they don't understand it. It's too complicated. Or they're not sure it's the right plan. They have doubts about it. They'd like to get a second opinion on their financial plan, on their investment plan, and on the products that are located inside of that plan, the financial products, talking about stocks and mutual funds and life insurance products and all the financial products that are out there. They just do not understand, and they're not confident that what they have is the right plan that's going to get them from where they are right now, financially speaking, to where they want to go. Ask yourself this question: how long have I worked? How much money have I made during my working career so far? And how much of that have I kept? And the last question is, number 4, are you happy with the answer? And the chances are you're not. So most people listening to the show right now are dissatisfied with their financial plan or their financial progress or their financial state, or they're not sure of it. Wouldn't it be nice to get yourself a financial plan? Wouldn't it be nice to understand that you're okay financially? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to say to yourself, I'm going to be able to retire with dignity the way I want to retire, if I want to? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could all be financially independent? But what is financial independence? Most people can't even define that. Financial independence might be social acceptance into the most exclusive club in town. It might be a trust fund for the kids. It might be a bigger house. It might be a waterfront house. It might be a second vacation home. It might be a yacht. It might be able to world travel at will anytime you want. It could be any one of dozens of financial measurements which measure financial success. And if we ask people to define financial success, we'd get 100 different answers. But most people have some definite financial goals in mind, like early retirement, a home or a bigger home, starting my own business, a trust fund for the kids. These are financial objectives. Your hopes, your plans, your dreams, and your ambitions depend upon one thing, and that's the money. You need to be able to carry them out, and the chances are you won't get there. I see financial profiles endlessly every week, 3, 4, 5, every single day. And most of these people that come and see me have one thing in common. It's an ineffective financial plan, if they have one, and most of the time they don't. Even if they have one, they do not have a clue how it works. They're worried about whether it works or not. So let's talk. Let's talk today on this show about what is a financial plan, how do I get one, and why do I need one? And why also do I need to understand it? Because really, not having a financial plan is planning to fail. Who out there listening to this show right now would deliberately plan to fail financially? If I could see your hands, put your hands up, and I know I can't see them right now, but I bet you if I was talking to 4,000 people, I would have a lot of hands go up in the air, okay? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how much money I have to put away systematically to even achieve my financial objectives. Guess what? I don't even have any. I don't know how to set financial objectives. I want to be financially independent. I want to be rich. But what's that look like? How does it feel to be rich? Better still, how does it feel to be poor? Think about your financial future. Is it in doubt? Are you going to be able to pay for the groceries when you retire? Are you going to retire with a mountain of debt? Are you going to retire with question marks? Are you going to retire with empty pockets? Visualize yourself at retirement, standing there with a goofy look on your face, your pockets turned inside out, the moths flying out, and you're broke. You have absolutely no money. Visualize yourself, and then say to yourself, how does that feel? God, it must feel awful. And guess what? That's where you're planning to go if you don't have a financial blueprint and a financial advisor to help you make the blueprint work. So that's what I do. If you just tuned in, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also a registered financial planner representing Scotia McLeod. My webpage is www.fredsnydergroup.com. Email address is fred.snyder@scotiamcleod.com. Telephone number is 604-737-3512. That's the office. And that's actually Frida's number. She's down at the office right now. 737-3501 is my direct line at the office. Fax number is 604-737-3524. And my cell phone is 604-644-7526. And I realize a lot of people listening to this show right now are probably driving. You couldn't get all that written down without fear of having an automobile crash or something like that. But I will give those numbers out frequently during the show. Okay? My email, my cell phone number is easy to remember because it's 604-644-PLAN. 644-PLAN. Stands for financial plan. Easy to remember. So you're out there, you're listening to this show, and you are saying to yourself, I want to do better financially. And I guarantee you there isn't anybody listening to this show right now that doesn't want to do better financially. So the question is, how can you do better financially? Simple answer. Get yourself a very well-tuned, well-defined, effective, written financial plan. That's a blueprint, a document that will take you from where you are right now to where you want to go financially speaking. So let's focus on the issue of a financial plan. Let's talk about what it looks like. So a financial plan is a document. I want you to visualize, if you will, a 3-ring binder. I think anybody ought to be able to do that. So you got this big 3-ring binder. And your financial life is in this binder. And inside the binder, you have some tabs. So one of the tabs says education. That's financial education. The second tab says goals. The third tab says evaluate. The fourth tab says cash. Stands for budget, cash management. The fifth tab stands for risk management. Number 6 stands for debt management. Can you visualize that so far? Ought to be pretty easy. Next is retirement planning. How am I going to retire when I want to? Number 8 is capital creation. How do I create money outside, not inside, outside of my RRSP? Number 9 is estate planning. How do I make sure all this wealth that I've created and built for myself, I've become a very successful person financially, but I want to pass that on to my children and my grandchildren. How do I make sure I do that without the government grabbing it all in taxes and probate and all those other fees that are attached to it, and having my family fighting over those assets? How do I prepare for the smooth transition of my assets to the next generation. And number 10 is, how do I review my plan to make sure it's always on track? Number 10 is just as important as number 1. They are all vitally important, and there's a certain amount of overlap in all of them. Now, I encourage you listeners to the show right now, you're listening and you're out there, I encourage you to call, because I want, and this is a live show, remember that, this isn't a replay today, this is live. I thought it was time to do another live one, so here I am. And again, I'm talking to you about your money, face to face. So I ask you to make a phone call, and I will reward you for making that phone call with a great book, the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich workbook. It's worth $24. That's what they cost. I will give you that simply by making a phone call and making a meaningful contribution to this show. Now, that doesn't mean you call Frida and you get one of those workbooks. You got to call the show. The number to call is area code 604-280-0650. Long distance is 1-877-280-0650. Now, if you want to see what we look like, you can log on www.CIL650.com. And if you want, or you're shy or reluctant to talk on the air for any reason whatsoever, you can call Frida. She's down at the office right now at area code 604-737-3512. If you're calling long distance, it's 1-800-661-1495. We want to talk to you about your money. We want to have a conversation with you about your money. We want you to share your ideas and your questions and your problems, if you want to call them that, with our other listeners. And most of our listeners can identify with that. So what do we all have in common? We all struggle with our money. And the struggle starts with cash management, number 4 in the system. So that's tab number 4, cash management. We have income, money coming in, and we have expenses or distributions, money going out. So what are all of our multiple sources of income? We have our employment income, we have business income, we have rental income, we have dividend income, we have capital gains income. You should look at that in your financial plan, line by line by line, and say, how can I increase my employment income? How can I increase my business income? How can I increase my dividend income, and so on? How can I increase my total income? You got to analyze it line by line, and maybe you need a financial advisor to help you do that. That's what I do. And then the next thing you have to do is you got to say, well, how am I spending that income? How much do I spend on groceries every month? How much do I spend on the roof over my head, whether I pay rent or make a mortgage payment? I got household repairs. I got household taxes. I got the taxes on my house that I have to pay. How about utilities? We have telephone. We have hydro. We got water. We got internet. We have all those issues. What do I spend every month on utilities? And what should I be spending? Where do I find a benchmark on those issues? Go to Dominion Bureau of Statistics. I can tell you what the numbers are. But what are your numbers, which is the important issue? How do you spend your money? So I'm talking here about two things. You make it and you spend it. Really simple. Make it, spend it. Now, some people make money and they spend more than they earn. Now, how is that possible? How can you possibly spend more money than you earn? Well, if you spend more than you earn, you got to borrow the difference. You got to go to the bank. You got to overdraft your bank account. You got to get a credit line, or you put it on your credit card. So if you spend more than you earn, you have to borrow to cover the deficit. Now, you all have heard the word deficit. Canada has a deficit. The United States have a deficit. And if you run constant deficits, you end up building up a huge amount of debt because you got to borrow to cover the deficits. So having a deficit is a no-no. You can't spend more than you earn. And if you're doing that, it's probably because you're not managing your money. It's probably because you do not have a budget. God, I can't make that too clear. I mean, automatically, I want you to listen hard to what I'm about to say. Automatically, you will do better financially if you spend less than you earn, almost on autopilot. Okay? Because here's what happens. You earn your money, your take-home pay, you put it in the bank, and you spend 90% of what you put in the bank, and you got a 10% surplus. The next paycheck, you do the same thing. And every time you do that, you end up with a surplus. So what happens? Your bank account gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. What happens if you spend more than you earn? Guess what? Your bank account gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you run out of money. And if you keep spending, now you got to borrow to cover the shortfall. Now your expenses go up because you got to pay interest on the borrowing. That's the relationship. Simple, simple, simple. Not complicated. Don't spend more than you earn. Now, I could say that to you. I could say that to many municipalities. I could say that to many corporations. I could say that to many provincial governments and federal governments. I could say that to Obama in the United States. So what I say this, or what I say is this: pick your politicians wisely. Because if you pick a politician who's dedicated to running deficits, that's a dangerous game. The United States right now, the country, current debt is $18 trillion. $18 trillion. When Obama was first elected, it was $7 trillion. $7 trillion to $18 trillion. Where does it stop? Maybe that's why Boehner just resigned. Okay? This is a dog's breakfast, ladies and gentlemen. Deficits are a no-no. So once again, I say pick your politicians wisely. The number to call is area code 604-280-0650. Long distance, 877-280-0650. You can log on, www.CIL650.com. And for those who are shy or reluctant to talk on the air, Frida's down at the office. You can reach her at area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. Napoleon Hill says that anything you can vividly imagine, ardently desire, believe you can achieve, and enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to pass. You want to make that happen? Get the workbook that I'm prepared to give anybody who calls the show at absolutely no cost. Your only cost is a phone call. Make that phone call because your future may very well depend on it. Get your future going today. Create your financial future by getting this book. Trust me, it works. So give us a call. Once again, 604-280-0650. Long distance, 877-280-0650. Log on, www.CIL650.com. Frida down at the office at area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 800-661-1495. We're talking about your money, more importantly, about your money and how to keep it. So we spent a fair amount of time there on step number 4, which is cash management, because I think, really, you don't get to first base unless you manage your cash. You don't get to first base unless you manage your cash. And if you get there, you're going to be struck out because if you don't deal with your cash after that point, you're going to fall back again. Number 5 is about risk management. Now, the best way to think of risk management is what if. 2 words, what if? Maybe even simpler than that, just one word, if. What would happen if I died? That would be a disaster to my family. How would I protect my family if I died? How would I protect myself and my family if I became disabled? What would happen if I became disabled to the point where I couldn't work and earn money? Very important issue. What would happen if I come home one day and my spouse was gone, just walked out? Ended up having to go through a divorce. What would happen? What would happen if I was fired for whatever reason? I lost my job, laid off, downsized, whatever. What would happen? Think about that. And most people don't. So how do you prepare for the unexpected in your life, the things you don't expect? So expect the good things to happen. Be optimistic. Of course, be optimistic. You need to be motivated. But on the other hand, plan for the worst as well. Be optimistic, but plan for the worst, just in case, because things happen. 604-280-0650, long distance 877-280-0650. Log on, www.cl650.com. Free to down at the office, area code 604-737-3512. That's the most important number of all of the numbers. Call her if you want to make something happen. Give Frida a call. Make an appointment to see me. Allow me to give you a second opinion on your investment portfolio. Provide you with a written financial plan at no cost. That's what we do. And again, you can book a seat at our next workshop, which is yet to come. That will be on ways to ease the tax bite. Okay? So we have risk management. Number 6 is debt management. I think one of the major reasons why people fail financially, it starts with cash management. Number 4, they spend more than they earn. They run up a whole bunch of debts. They carry balances on their credit cards. The interest is not tax deductible. The interest on their mortgage is not tax deductible. They borrow money to buy assets that depreciate in value. They pay high interest rates on those loans and credit cards, and the interest isn't deductible. If you're going to borrow money at all, and at any time, you should borrow money to buy assets that appreciate in value, like real estate as an example, where the interest rates are low and tax deductible. So today, if you can get a home equity line of credit, you can probably pay 3.5%, somewhere around there. If that's tax deductible, the net cost of that's about 2%. And if you can buy appreciating assets and pay 2%, and the assets are appreciating at 6 or 7%, you're making money with borrowed money. That's what it's all about. Let's talk to Maria from Vancouver. Maria, welcome to the program.
Thank you. And how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm giving a baby shower to my daughter, but she knows all about it. But anyways, the reason I decided to call in is you just touched on something very important, divorce. And what I'm going to ask you is, now, isn't a financial plan even more important to every woman than the average man? When there's a divorce, everybody knows what happens. Usually the husband wins the home because he's able to buy out the wife. Also, a lot of women decide to be stay-at-home moms, so they pay a price when there's a divorce. There's no money. And the husband continues on with his job. The poor woman is stuck with not having worked for several years to raise the children. So isn't it important for every woman today to have a financial plan, even if they are married?
You're totally right, but I think it's important for everybody, including the man, to have a financial plan as well. Mm-hmm. I will say this, and you've touched on an interesting subject, because the assumption is, at the point of divorce, that assets are owned 50-50. So assets are supposed to be split 50-50, and if a woman is not financially independent and have a secondary income, then she's probably going to get a monthly income also from the husband. That isn't always true. It depends on the courts, but that's the starting point. So if one spouse has $200,000 in assets and the other spouse has $1 million in assets, then the assets are combined and then split 50-50 normally. That's the general rule. And but again, I've been through a divorce. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to start over again. It's a tough road.
Me too. I know all about it myself.
Yeah.
But I just thought, because a lot of the listeners are ladies, and I'm so proud of them for calling in and asking you questions, because we should always educate ourselves. We never have enough knowledge, and wisdom comes from, upgrading ourselves. So they should be phoning in and keeping in touch with you, because it's a win-win situation when they phone in, and if they do get a financial plan, it is a win-win situation all over again.
Yeah, you're totally right, Maria. And one of the things that blows me away, it absolutely it dumbfounds me, actually, that we don't get more phone calls.
Yeah.
I mean, a good reason to call this show is just to get that workbook.
You know, I listen to the radio every day, and I shut it off so I can talk to you. But every morning on CL 650, there's always people winning prizes and calling in to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad those same people don't put any importance on their financial life, because if they follow my footstep, they'll be broke when they're 60. So, you know, if they don't believe it can happen to them, I didn't think it would happen to me ever. Well, guess what? I got a wake-up call. Yeah, it happened.
Of course. There's a beginning to everything, and there's an end to everything.
You need to play it safe, because that little devil is always around the corner just waiting for you to fall.
And it's the space between the beginning and the end that we have to manage.
That's right.
Sometimes we don't know when we're going to die. We'll call that the end.
That's
but
right.
the difference between when you start and when you die is what we need to manage. And the best way to manage that is to have a proper plan. And that plan is not always just about money. The plan itself is about your family life.
Exactly.
How do you organize your family life? That's one way to avoid divorce.
Yes.
It won't guarantee it won't happen, but that's certainly one way. How do you organize your family life? Then how do you organize your social life? Okay?
Yes.
I'm talking about your friends and your neighbors and all that. Okay?
Very true.
And then how about your health? How do you make sure you stay healthy as long as you possibly can? And your spiritual life and your mental life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got 6 areas that you of your life that you have to set goals and manage, and every one is important. I mean, if you spend all your time working and accumulating money and ignore your family life, you're probably going to end up with a divorce and lose half of those hard-earned dollars.
Not only that, but if you don't have a financial plan and you do lose everything, you can go from a very healthy human being to a very sick human being, mentally and physically, because it eats up on you when you got those debts.
You're totally right.
Right. Anyways, I'm going to let you go. I give other people a chance to talk to you.
Maria, I really appreciate your call.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very inspirational. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So that line, Maria's line, is now open. So you're out there, you just tuned in. I remind you once again, ladies and gentlemen and listeners, that I am certified financial planner Fred Snyder. I got this big stamp on my back that says certified. I'm also a registered financial planner. There's 2 professional designations in the financial planning industry. And I represent a great financial organization called Scotia McLeod, and they're part of the Scotiabank Group. And again, we're dedicated to teaching people what they need to know to make better financial decisions. Better financial decisions. Did you hear me? Better financial decisions. Have you ever made a financial decision in your life? Have you ever made a mistake when you made a financial decision? Maybe I shouldn't have bought that car. Maybe I shouldn't have bought that boat. Maybe I should have financed it differently. Okay? You need a financial coach that you can pick up the phone and say, I need to make a financial decision. I'm thinking of buying a house. This is what it's going to cost. What do you think I should do? How should I finance it? What about the interest rate? Okay? You got to think about that and much, much more. And you need a financial plan to keep you on track, and you need a financial coach to help you stay on track. That's what it's all about. So we talked about risk management, debt management. That's what we've been talking about. And number 7 is retirement planning. Okay? I want you to think about this. You're 65 and you want to retire. You look at your financial situation. You have a financial plan, perhaps. Maybe you don't, maybe you do. You look at your financial plan, you don't really understand it. You try to say, does my financial plan tell me whether I can retire comfortably or not? Well, look, retirement is simple. Retirement planning fundamentally is very, very simple. The first thing you have to say to yourself is this: how much money do I need to live the life I want to live when I retire? The day I retire. How much? Well, then you got to sit down and do a budget. You got to say, well, I need $5,000 a year for vacation. I need $5,000 a year to pay for the roof over my head. My mortgage isn't paid off, so I need to make my mortgage payment. I got property taxes that I have to pay. I got upkeep of my house that I have to pay for utilities. I have insurance premiums that I have to make. What does my cash expenditures look like the day that I retire? And I don't have the foggiest idea because everybody probably has a different number. But I would say on average, it's going to be maybe $5,000 a month. So let's say it's $4,000 a month. You sat down, you did the numbers. You wrote them all down on a piece of paper. You added them up. Comes to $4,000 a month, gross. Now you got to pay tax. Okay? So it means if you got to pay tax and you need $4 to pay the expenses, taxes being one of the expenses, you got to earn more than $4 because of the taxes. So what is the gross amount of pre-tax income that you have to earn the day you want to retire? What is that number? Again, so let's say it's $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year, and you're 65. And then you say, okay, where's the money come from? Well, I'm 65. I qualify for approximately $500 a month old age pension. I got $1,000 a month CPP. That's $1,500. My wife has the same, so that's $3,000. So I'm only short $2,000. Where's the $2,000 come from? Well, I don't have a pension, neither does my wife, but I got $300,000 in investments. Will the $300,000 provide the $200 a month? Or excuse me, the $2,000 a month? Will it? Will it work? Maybe. Depends on the rate of return. But it won't work if I buy GICs, term deposits, and Canada savings bonds. So how do I design an investment portfolio that will take $300,000 and generate $2,000 a month? Will it work? That's the question mark. That's what the financial plan, that's what the investment plan is all about. So I need to retire. A financial plan will tell me exactly what those numbers are. I'm going to say that again. It will tell me exactly what those numbers are, and that is what you need to know. And the chances are, if you're listening to this show right now, you don't know. You don't know. And I know because most people I talk to don't know. And when I give them the numbers, they breathe a sigh of relief, and they say, my God, I'm so happy to know it'll work. Or I tell them they got a shortfall, and they don't look very good. So how does it feel to know that all of a sudden you've hit the wall? You're there, the day of retirement, and you have enough or you don't have enough. In either case, how does it feel? If you got enough, you feel pretty good, don't you? And if you don't have enough, you feel pretty bad, don't you? And you wished you had, and you didn't. You didn't do what was necessary. Now's your chance. Do what is necessary. Make a phone call. Start the process. Someone once said the longest journey begins with the first step. Make that step. Make a phone call. And when we come back, we'll continue to urge you to make that phone call, so don't go away.
Fred Snyder.
Do you have a GPS? I do. I have one in my boat. I have one in my car. I get in my car, I can turn the GPS on, put an address in, it'll tell me exactly how to get there. When I'm in my boat, I can say I want to go to Anvil Island, and my boat will take me right there every time. Wouldn't it be nice to have a financial plan that would do the same thing?
Fred Snyder.
When you sit down with a financial advisor, such as myself, I have to determine the level of risk that you need to take, and the level of risk that you're able to take, and the level of risk that you want to take, and the way to get the best return on your investments. That's what your financial plan is all about.
Fred Snyder.
I just really appreciate and honor what you do every week for people, is giving them financial knowledge, so I'm just really happy about that. Just keep on doing the awesome work, Fred.
Fred Snyder.
So three kinds of people: those who really don't have a plan, they're just kind of starting out; those who are on the way; and those who feel they're already there. The three types of people. And those who are already there, maybe you need to get a second opinion on that portfolio, that you have to make sure that it's the right one, or maybe you have to tweak the plan itself. That's what we're talking about. If you fall into any of those categories, time to make a phone call.
Call Fred. Listen to Fred. Fred Snyder. Sunday mornings 9 to 11 on CIL 650. This is CISL Vancouver. Smooth and easy.
CIL 650.
This is It's Your Money on CIL 650. Here once again is Fred Snyder.
God, I like that music. And we are back. And again, when we went to the break, we were talking about the financial planning process and why. What does a financial plan look like? Trying to describe it so that you can see it, so that you can visualize it. We've been talking about the retirement planning process, but again, it's very simple. What's your retirement income and what's your retirement expenses? And do they balance? Or do you end up with a deficit or a surplus? Is there a shortfall? How do you fix it? That's what we're talking about. So are your investments going to get you to where you want to go? Are your investments designed so that they're risky? Are your investments designed so that they will get you a conservative rate of return that works without taking undue risk? Are you well diversified? Have you really taken a close look at your investment portfolio and the characteristics built into that portfolio? Every investment portfolio has a way to measure risk, and it's called standard deviation. That's a measurement. And again, a measurement or a standard deviation of any one, we'll say somewhere between 1 and 5 is considered low to moderate. Anything between 5 and 10 is considered still moderate. Anything over 10 is considered high risk. So what's the best way to measure your investment portfolio? Standard deviation is one of them. And then what is the return on the portfolio? Historically, what has it averaged over, we'll say, the last 5 years? If it's averaged 8%, then what is the risk-adjusted rate of return on that portfolio? So how do you measure risk? So you got standard deviation, you got a term called alpha. No, I don't want to get technical on this kind of stuff right now. I want to stay away. I just want to say, let's stay general and say you need to look at the rate of return, the potential rate of return on your portfolio, and the potential risk that's built into it. What would happen if we had a major market correction right now? How much would your portfolio decline? Okay, you go back to 08, the last correction situation that we had, the recession that we had back then. How much did your portfolio go down then? Toronto Stock Exchange back then went down about 35%, somewhere around there. So could you handle a decline of 35% in the value of your portfolio? So if your portfolio compared to the index is similar to the Toronto Stock Exchange, that is the element of risk that's built into your portfolio. What is the benchmark that you compare your portfolio to? What should the benchmark be? So these are all issues. They're technical issues on your investment program, but most people that I talk to do not have a proper financial portfolio when it comes to risk. I say to people when they're sitting with me, I say, tell me something. What is your tolerance for risk? Is it low, moderate, or high? And almost everybody tells me it's low. And I said, well, looking at your portfolio, we just did an analysis, and the analysis says that your portfolio is high risk. Oh, I didn't know that. My advisor said it was low risk. Well, not according to the analysis. So you come into me with your portfolio, and I do an x-ray of that portfolio. That's what we call it, an x-ray or an analysis or an MRI. We look into it, and we measure it. Peter Drucker, Dean of Modern Management, once said that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So in order to manage your investments properly, you need to be able to measure your investments. How do you measure them? You need a benchmark. What do you use as a benchmark? And is the benchmark that's being used the proper benchmark? These are all factors that you need to consider. And when you pick an investment fund, what period of time do you choose to analyze it? Do you say, well, hey, I have the best mutual fund based on the performance last year? Well, really? Okay, last year was a great year maybe for that fund, but the previous 4 years were terrible. You probably, if you bought it 4 years ago, you would have sold it long before you got to last year because it hadn't been performing very well. And if you're just getting on the bandwagon because of the performance last year, which was, we'll say, terrific, is that going to hold up over the next 5 years? If that particular investment didn't perform in the last 4 years very well and then perform well this year, maybe it goes back to 4 more bad years going forward. So you buy it right now, that's a mistake. You can't put a list of investment funds or stocks or investments for that matter on the wall and throw darts at it, and that's your selection process. Random ad hoc doesn't work. So what is the process? So if you have a financial advisor, or if I'm your financial advisor, you can say, please explain to me how you select my investments. Please explain to me how you manage my investment portfolio. Okay? I need to understand that. And put it in writing. And how often should I review my investment portfolio? Should I review it every 3 months? Should I review it every 6 months? Once a year? On my birthday? What's the process? Okay? I think the job of a financial advisor, myself included, is to manage people's expectations. So what do you expect your financial advisor to do? And do you understand that? That's what it's all about. So we've talked about retirement planning. And again, just a quick review. When the day you retire, how much income are you going to need? And how much do you have? What will the expenses be? And what will the income be to cover those expenses the day you retire? The next part of that question is, how long are you going to live? Now, if you live for 10 years, you're only going to need that $40,000 or so for 10 times. But then it's got to be inflation adjusted. So what's the assumption for inflation? Okay? Or maybe you're going to live for 20 years. Or maybe you're going to live to 140. Okay? So you have to make an assumption as to how long you're going to live. So you need 40,000, but how long are you going to need that for the day you retire? I have enough capital to generate 40,000 a year, we'll say for 10 years, but maybe not enough for 20 years, or maybe even less than that if I inflation adjust the numbers. So how do I make all that work? So what does my retirement plan look like? And again, that's tab number 7. And what you do, if you go back to tab number 1, which is education, you're educating yourself. So one of the educational goals that you have is to educate yourself about retirement planning. So every piece of information that you can gather about retirement planning, you file that under the tab number 7 as well. So you become an expert on retirement planning. What could you do when it comes to retirement planning? Almost every financial institution has a retirement planner out there. You can go and you can log on using Google, and you can log on to just about any Scotiabank, for example, Scotia McLeod, RBC, BMO, almost every financial institution, TD, they all have software on the internet which will help you do all these calculations. You can almost use the websites of all these different financial institutions to generate your own financial plan by pulling all the information off. So retirement planning, let's put that one to bed, and let's move ahead to number 8, which is capital creation, and is similar to retirement planning, but capital creation is really the money outside of your RRSP. Most people that I talk to have just about all their money invested in their house, their pension plan, their RRSP, and they have nothing outside. So tell me something. If you needed some money, and this is your situation, all your money is in your RRSP, your house, and your pension plan. Can you go to your pension plan and say, I need some money? Give me some money out of my pension plan? No way. You won't get it. You go to your RRSP. I'm going to take money out of my RRSP. Okay, now I got to pay tax. 30% maybe. That's pretty expensive. So it's tough to pull. You can take it out, but it's tough to take it from your RRSP. Not a good place to take it. Let's look at your house. So you need some money you could borrow against your house, and now you got to pay interest. Or if you don't do that, would you sell the chimney or the garage or one of the bedrooms or something? The front door? It's illiquid. So retirement planning is designed to look after your retirement, not to provide you with cash for emergencies or anything else. And if you go to step number 4 in cash management, you should have a cash reserve, which is equal to about 6 months' expenses. So you would get the money from that particular part if you needed short-term money. But basically, you're in a situation with capital creation that you need money that's outside of the RRSP. So one good way to get that money outside is the TFSA. So with the tax-free savings account, you're allowed to put away now up to $10,000 a year. I heard Trudeau once say when he was electioneering that if he gets elected, he's going to increase that to $20,000. Well, you can put $10,000 a year away into a TFSA right now, and anything that $10,000 earns is absolutely forever income tax free. So the two best investments you can make from a tax point of view is the house you live in, it's absolutely tax free, or a TFSA, it's absolutely tax free. The only problem with the TFSA, you're limited to what you can put in. With the house you live in, you could buy a house for $10 million if you could buy it. And it's still tax-free. It grows income tax-free. So capital creation is how do I create money outside of my RSP? So here's a plan. Let's say that you can put, for easy figures, $10,000 a year into your RSP. And you're in an average tax bracket, so you're going to save about $4,000 a year in tax. So the question is, what do you do with the tax refund of $4,000? Use that to put that into your capital creation account, be it a TFSA or something else. You use that $4,000 to invest outside. Now, if your RSP contribution is much larger, you're going to get an even bigger refund that you can invest that money outside. You should religiously do that. Instead of spending the tax refund, which is what most people do, you invest the tax refund as well. And in that case, you've killed two birds with one stone. You've looked after retirement planning and you've looked after capital creation. That's step 7 and step 8. Step 7 and step 8 is really your investment program. If you're dealing with a brokerage firm like my firm right now, you have what the investment firm calls your registered money and your cash account. That's the capital creation account. Okay? So think about that and think about whether the asset allocation in those two areas is correct. How much money should be invested in bonds? How much money should be invested in equities? What should the ratio be? And what's the benchmark on step 7 and 8? And if you do that, the chances are you're not guaranteed that you're going to be financially successful. There's absolutely no guarantees, but you incredibly increase the odds of success. And that's really all you can do, okay? The chances of you succeeding are increased immensely. Okay, so you got retirement planning, you got capital creation, and you're accumulating large sums of money. Your net assets are growing fast. So again, some people say, I'm just going to review it in this way, that if you have a large net worth, that's the total of your retirement savings plans and your capital creation plans minus your liabilities. The difference is called your net worth. Call that a benchmark, and you want that net worth to increase every year. And then when we talk about the cash management part, that's cash flow. So the income coming in minus the expenses going out, the difference is called cash flow. So you need to increase cash flow, you need to increase net worth. That's what we've been talking about in terms of the written financial plan. So you do all this, and guess what? You're going to build up this estate. Someday you're going to be worth millions. If you have enough time and you do all the right things, you're going to grow an awful lot of money over a period of time. And you don't know when you're going to die. So you pass away. You have a surviving spouse. Don't worry about it then. Assets roll over to the surviving spouse. But if you don't have a surviving spouse when you die, you're deemed by the government to have sold everything you own at fair market value. So you would pay tax or capital gains tax on the difference between what the government presumed those assets were worth and what you paid for them. So I don't know what those numbers are. They can vary a lot from individual to individual, but let's say that you have a net worth of $5 million. And let's say that the adjusted cost base of those assets is $1 million. You die, you now have a $4 million capital gain. That's taxable. On that, half of it is taxable, so that's $2 million. So that's $1 million in tax that's owing when the final spouse passes away on a $5 million estate. That's brutal. So the question is, where does the money come from? I remember we're talking about estate plan. You've passed away. So is your spouse. So neither of you have to worry too much about it because that's behind you at this point. But your executor is going to have to satisfy the government. The executor has to cough up $1 million. So tell me, where's that million come from? What do you have to sell to get the million? The family business? The house? Tax has to be paid. Maybe you can negotiate some terms with CRA. Maybe they'll let you pay for it on the Never Never plan. Charge you some interest. The best way to deal with this particular issue is called life insurance or an estate freeze. There's no other way. Maybe a trust. But generally speaking, you need to recognize this problem, and most people that I talk to do not even realize that they have a problem in this area. Life insurance, if you wait until late in life to get it, you might not be able to buy it for health reasons. Or if you can get it, it will be expensive. Or if you have some health reason and you can still get it, it will be hyper expensive. But I will tell you one thing, it will not cost as much as the tax ultimately. What are some of the ways to find the tax to pay for the deemed disposition, the unrealized future tax problem that you have? What are some of the ways to do that? Well, one way is you could defer the property taxes on the house you live in. That would be a way to find some money to pay for the insurance. All I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there, all I'm saying right now is you have to recognize this as a serious issue. It needs to be dealt with. Do you have a proper will? Is it up to date? If you haven't recognized the changes made by WESA a few years back, it probably needs to be updated. Do you have an enduring power of attorney? Because if you become mentally incompetent for any particular reason, your spouse can't manage your assets on your behalf unless there's an enduring power of attorney in place. Do you have a representation agreement? A representation agreement which basically says this is how you deal with health issues. If anything happens, do you pull the plug or whatever? So you need a will, you need an enduring power of attorney, and you need a representation agreement. And I have a fellow I work with, I don't mind mentioning his name, I have great respect for him. His name is Timothy Lack. He's a lawyer, and he specializes in this particular area. Okay? And if we need accounting advice, I have a fellow by the name of Jamie Newens, who's a chartered accountant with Davidson and Company. And again, I work closely with him when it comes to tax issues, et cetera, et cetera. So these are specialists. And if you're talking to me, I'm like the doctor. I'm the general practitioner. I'm the orchestra leader. I surround myself with experts that provide the knowledge that I need, the more detailed knowledge. Henry Ford once said that he has a mastermind group. He was criticized one time because he only had 6 years schooling, 6 years in public school, and he became very successful, as we all know. And he was criticized for being uneducated by a paper. So he sued the paper. And in court, they cross-examined him and tried to prove that he was a dunce and he didn't know anything. And he stood up and he said, look, you guys are asking me a whole lot of stupid questions about information that I don't need to carry around in my head. My brain has better use than carrying useless knowledge around in it. He said, on my desk I have 15 buttons. One of the buttons says, lawyer. I need legal advice. I push the button, my lawyer comes in. I get the advice that I need. Another button says, accounting. I push the button, my accountant comes in, gives me the information I need. I guess you get the rest of it. So he's got 15 experts that he can consult when he needs information. And he calls that his mastermind. Now, ladies and gentlemen and listeners out there, that was a way back in the 30s. Okay? And almost every motivational speaker that's out there right now got all their ideas and their motivational concepts from Napoleon Hill in the book Think and Grow Rich. That was the source of it all. And in there it refers to the mastermind. And I call to your attention right now the fact that today we can have all that plus one more, and it's called Google. Because anything you want to know, virtually anything that you want to know, you Google it and you can get the information. And if you don't like typing Google or typing the information into the Google search box, all you have to do is ask Siri. Siri will tell you just about anything you want to know. The other day I wanted to go out to Sandheads to do some fishing. I wanted to know what the wind was like out there. I just called Siri and I got the wind report at Sandheads. Unbelievable what's out there right now. So why should you fill your mind with useless knowledge when you have at your disposal all kinds of experts and Google or Siri? What a world we live in. Unbelievable. So 604-280-0650, long distance 877-280-0650. Log on, www.CIL650.com. Free to down at the office, area code 604-737-3512. Long distance 800-661-1495. We're talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. And to keep it is the most important part of it all. We all earn enough money to be financially independent, but that doesn't mean we get there because we don't keep enough of the money we earn. The best way to do that is to spend less than you earn and have yourself a financial plan. So we're up to step number 9. We've been talking about the estate planning part of your financial plan. In summary, a will, enduring power of attorney, representation agreement. You need executors and guardians and a few other things. And your will probably needs an update because of WESA. You want to do that, you can call me or you can call Timothy Lack, and you'll get an update on all that and much, much more. Again, we're going to move on to step number 10. And remember, there's 10 steps, but there's a lot of overlap between all of them. So in step 10 is the review process. Now, there's no point in me generating a financial plan, or anybody else for that matter generating a financial plan, and you take that financial plan and put it on the shelf and let it gather dust. It doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. You don't put it on the shelf. It becomes the hub of your financial life, the reference point of your financial life. It's an ongoing project that has to be built. That's why we use a 3-ring binder where you can add information to it, take information away from it, and it's divided into these 10 sections. So how does the review process work? How often should you review your financial plan? Now, that's a good question. It should be done at least once a year. Or if there's a major change in your circumstances. You have a net worth of a couple $100,000 and you win the $50 million lottery. Obviously, there's a change in your financial circumstances, a material change which calls for an updated financial plan. Obviously. You get married. Your spouse dies. You get divorced. These are material changes in your financial situation. The law changes, like WESA. Need an update on your financial plan. What are some of the other things that could change which would require that your plan be updated? I'll leave that one up to you. If you have a plan in front of you, write on it, what if? What are some of the things that could happen that could cause that plan to be updated? You get laid off or outsourced or downsized or whatever. All that happens. What do you do? How do you do it? What should you do? You want to make a major purchase. Let's say you want to buy yourself a 40-foot yacht. Maybe you should call your financial advisor first, and maybe the advisor says, well, that's just a hole in the water you pour money into. You're kind of nuts to buy that yacht. Maybe your financial advisor might even talk you out of it. And if he can, that's probably a good thing. Okay? But these are all issues that people do not address. They don't know what to do. They're confused. They're scared. I heard it the other day on the radio, listening to some kind of a documentary program, and it talked about fear, F-E-A-R. Acronym, false evidence appearing real. I've used that on this show numerous times. I heard it from a third party the other day. Maybe they stole it from me. I stole it from somebody else anyway, so it doesn't matter. But fear, the opposite of fear, is knowledge. You want to reduce fear. If you're afraid, if you're paralyzed because of fear, the more you know, the less you'll be paralyzed. If you're stopped in your tracks because of fear, the best way to overcome that is to acquire knowledge. Go back to step one in the financial plan, which is called education. And education is an ongoing process. It's continuing. There's no beginning, there is no end. It's lifelong. So throughout your life, you have to update what you know. Now, I've been a computer addict since 1981. I got my first computer in 1981. It was an Apple 48K with floppy disks and so on. And the evolution which has taken place in technology since then is mind-boggling. Most of the people who are into the technology today got on the train late in the game and don't know where we were way back in 1981. I do, because I was there. The advancement is unbelievable. And if we continue to advance in technology at the rate we've been doing up to this point, I think these computers are going to have a mind of their own pretty soon, and hell will be a reality. We have to go to the break. When we come back, we'll talk more about your financial plan. Don't go away. Because the name of the game is to create cash flow.
Fred Snyder.
So just visualize yourself. If you want to go to Hawaii every year, you're lying on the beach, you can feel the hot sun beating down on your back. You know, you get up, you take a walk, you can feel the hot sand crunch between your toes, you hear the waves lapping on the beach, the seagulls circling overhead. You know, you got to be able to visualize all this. And this is not just for you, this is for anybody else that's out there listening to the show. You have to motivate yourself. And the way you motivate yourself is being able to visualize yourself enjoying your objectives, as I just did.
And that's why I'm calling you.
Okay?
Fred Snyder.
That's the key. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how you can afford to pursue and enjoy your hopes, your plans, your dreams, and your ambitions. That's what we're talking about.
Fred Snyder.
If you have a financial plan and you're somewhere in the middle and you're wondering what tweaks that you should make in that plan to make it what you really want it to be, time to make a phone call. Or if maybe you're just getting started out and you want to get a starter plan, maybe it's time to talk to somebody like myself and get yourself on the right track.
Call Fred. Listen to Fred. Fred Snyder. Sunday mornings 9 to 11 on CIL 650. Welcome back to It's Your Money on CIL 650. If you have a question for Fred, call 604-280-0650. Now back to Fred.
Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and listeners out there. We're talking about you. We're talking about now, not later, now. But essentially, many people will do something about their financial situation now. Some people will say, well, I'll do it later. And some people will never do it. So we have that concept of now, later, or never. So which one is you? Are you a now person? A maybe person? A later person? Or never? When are you going to do it? Your hopes, your plans, your dreams, your ambitions, everything that life is all about depend upon one thing, and that's the money you need to be able to carry them out. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you tell me I don't like money, why should I listen to Fred Snyder? I'd say you'd lie about other things. Okay? Someone said to me, I've been rich and I've been poor, and darn it all, I'd rather be rich. And you say, well, I don't care about money. I just want to help people. Well, the only way you're going to, who can help people the most? Somebody who's rich or somebody who's poor? Okay? So the more money you have, money is freedom. Money is freedom to be able to do what you want to do. It's not cold, hard cash. It's not cold at all. It's warm. It's fuzzy. You put it in your pocket, you put your hand in your pocket, and the more you have, the better you feel. Okay? And I'm not really trying to put money down here. This is the truth. You can't tell me that you don't want money. Maybe you don't want to pay the price. You say, well, I don't want to spend all my life in the pursuit of money. It's too much work. I just don't want to do it. So what's the price of success? It's hard work. So I want you to think of the word success. Visualize the word success. The first letter is S. It's a capital S. U-C-C-E-S-S. Can you visualize it? Okay. Now there's two letters in there, U and E. Put a circle around those two. The U stands for you, Y-O-U, and the E stands for effort. So the thing that you can do with your life when you're seeking success is more effort. So if you put forth a little bit of effort, maybe you're prepared to settle for small change. So take the two C's that's in and put a line down through them and it becomes a cent sign. So if you want to settle for cents, it takes a little bit of effort. If you want to settle for small dollars, a little bit more effort. So put a line through the two S's, $2 signs. Now go to the capital S at the beginning and put a line down through that one, and that's a capital S dollar sign. And really, you want capital S. You want the big dollars. It depends on you and the effort that you put into it, period. That's the cost of success. And I don't care if you're an 18-year-old hockey player and you want to make the NHL. I don't care who you are. Your success depends on you and the effort that you put into it. And that effort will depend on whether you have a burning desire to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. A burning desire. Remember once again the words of Napoleon Hill. Anything you can vividly imagine, that means you got to be able to see your goals. Anything you can vividly imagine, ardently desire, should have said have a burning desire. Same thing, burning desire. Believe you can achieve and enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to pass. Burning desire, visualization, belief, action spells success. So where do you get the burning desire? You visualize yourself. Use affirmations about your success. And remember, your success is more important to you than anybody's temporary discomfort, including your own. Success is not necessarily a comfortable journey. Okay? So if you're seeking comfort on the way, it's not there. So again, if I make my point, it's expensive in terms of effort to achieve financial success. But I say this to you right now, the cost of failure is even greater. So think about yourself in the future. Visualize yourself 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. Visualize yourself at retirement, and you're filthy wealthy, like Scrooge McDuck. You're swimming in money. You got tons of it, like maybe Donald Trump. Okay? So you're a very wealthy person, and you just arrived at retirement age. But you like what you're doing so much, you just want to keep on doing it. So you just keep on doing it. You don't have to retire necessarily. And that doesn't mean you're greedy. It means you like what you do and you get paid well for what you're doing. That's okay. But if you want to quit, you can. And if you want to keep on, you can. So you can keep on keeping on, or quit if you want. So visualize that. And how does that feel? How does that feel to you at that particular point? Use all your senses. Sight, sound. Hear the cash register ringing. Feel the hot sand crunching between your toes. See the picture in your mind's eye. That will create the burning desire. Think about that. Then think about the opposite of that, failure. You're 65 and you are flat broke. pockets turned inside out, no money. Pick up your bank statement, overdraft. Look at your credit card statements, all in the red. Carrying balances. Nothing works. Two choices. You're successful, that monthly check comes in, you look at it and you say, I don't mind spending this because next month I know I'm going to get another one. And the month after that, I'm going to get another one, and in the month after that, and this money is going to continue for as long as I live. So I don't have to worry about money because I spend less than this check every month, and I got a nice bank balance. Alternatively, I get my Social Security, I get my guaranteed income supplement because I'm poor. I can't make ends meet. I'm broke on payday, whatever it is. And I don't have much to look forward to. I can't take a vacation. I have to spend Christmas with the kids. Think about that, because that's your choice. You can choose between either of those scenarios. Visualize yourself successful. Visualize yourself as a miserable failure at age 65 or 60 if that's when you want, or 55 if you really want to retire at 55. It's entirely up to you. And I have people who are clients in those situations right now. They started too late and they're struggling to keep ahead. And again, as I said earlier, it isn't easy. Remember how we spelt success? You and the effort that you put into it? That's what it takes. So what's that effort made up of? Well, it includes self-education. It includes attending seminars. It includes having a meeting, perhaps with somebody like myself. It includes creating a financial plan. It includes thinking. That's what it's all about. It includes maybe some studying, maybe taking some courses. So your success depends on you and the effort that you put into it. And you need to get yourself a financial plan, because if you don't have one, by default, you're planning to fail. Now, I can't imagine there's anybody listening to this show right now. I cannot imagine for a single minute there's one person listening to this show that would admit that they are planning to fail. But by default, if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. Are you listening? Okay, you're out there right now, you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. How do you get a plan? Call Frida. You can call Frida right now. You can reach Frida down at the office at area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. You can log on, www.CIL650.com. Watch us live. You have a question or a comment that you want to make about this show right now, and you want to get the Napoleon Hill workbook, $24 value, all you got to do is make a phone call, area code 604-280-0650, long distance 1-877-280-0650. I don't know where all you guys are right now, because this Napoleon Hill workbook is highly valuable. I cannot believe that we're not getting dozens of phone calls to get that book. Maybe there's nobody listening to the show right now. Maybe you've all gone fishing or something. So again, if you're concerned about your future financial well-being, it's time to make a phone call. I would appreciate that call. So again, we talked about education, number 1, goals, number 2, evaluate where you stand right now, number 3, number 4, cash management, number 5, risk management, number 6, debt management, number 7, retirement planning, number 8, capital creation, number 9, estate planning, and number 10, the overall review process. I call that my 10-step financial planning process. So if you forget all that, remember, 10-step financial planning process. You can call me and I'll send you a copy of that particular slide, and it makes a great piece of reference material. So again, any questions or comments that you have, your call is welcome. If you want to get right down to brass tacks, want to attend a workshop, you can call Frida. She's down at the office right now, area code 604-737-3512. 888-203-3512. I have Joan from Vancouver Island on the line. Joan, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I've been listening all morning, and I don't know if I'm past the point of no return or what. I collect long-term disability from the hospital because I broke my tailbone. But my husband passed away last year, and we didn't have a lot of assets, right? So it's like I'm starting right over. And I clear $28.50 on my disability, so I should be able to do something, but I just can't seem to pull it together.
Well, here's the question. Here, it's knowing where to start, Joanne, that counts. Mm-hmm. So where do you start this process? So here's the question. How much money do you need to live every month?
I really don't need a great deal.
Well, what's the number?
About $400, $500 a month, and that would be for everything, really.
Are you telling me that you can live on $400 or $500 a month?
Yeah.
God, teach me how to do that, will you?
Yeah.
I wish I could figure that one out.
I know this is a terrible thing to say, but I can't shop. If I go in and if I don't see it right away, I'm out of there. So.
How many mouths are you feeding, Joanne?
Just myself now. Okay. I was feeding 2 families at one point, but now it's just myself.
So how much do you spend on groceries every month?
About $200.
Okay, that leaves you $200. So what do you spend the other $200 on?
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes. Okay.
I smoke.
And boozing.
I don't do the drinking. Just
no
the
drinking.
Cigarettes.
How much you spend on rent, or do you own your own house?
Rent, $600 a month for.
Well, you're already in the hole.
I know.
Okay, and that's precisely why you can't get ahead. You don't have enough income. I frankly don't know how you can live on that much income. It's impossible. Okay, like you got all kinds of things that you can spend money on. You got utilities. Maybe your utilities included in your rent.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so maybe that's part of it. But really, you know, when you just count your groceries and your rent, that's more expensive than the income you have. So you got a deficit already. And that's where it starts. So
$28.50 a month. Like I cleared $2,800, so I'm screwed already.
Well, let's go over those numbers again. So how much is your monthly income?
$28.50.
So you get $28.50 coming in per month.
Yeah.
Okay. I heard you wrong or something. I went wrong there. So you got $28.50 coming in. Okay. So your groceries is $200 a month.
Yeah.
And your rent is
$600.
That's $800 a month. You got lots of money left over so far. How much? Okay. What else?
I bought a car, so I paid $300 a month for that.
So that's $1,100 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you have?
That's about it.
Well, your car expenses, you can add another $300 on, so that's $1,400 a month for operational expenses.
Insurance.
So you're spending $1,400. You got $28 coming in. Do you pay income tax?
Yeah.
How much tax?
About $100 a month.
Well, not very much tax. So you still got a fair surplus. So so where's the surplus go?
I help people, and I don't know. I just do crazy things.
Well, you see,
I'm being honest.
And you need to be. That's okay. There's lots of people. There's lots of people right now, Joanne, listening to this show. Lots of people that are doing exactly the same thing.
I know, and I just would like to know how to stop doing that and get. You
need discipline, and you know how you get discipline. You need a budget, and I guarantee you don't have one.
No.
So a budget addresses the questions I just asked you. So if you call Frida will send you a form that will help you do that budget. You call Frida right now down at the office at 604-737-3512 and say that Snyder said to send you a worksheet where you can do your own budget.
And also, like, I have a municipal pension that's coming in, and I also may be getting a buyout from my health benefit trust people.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if that's a great idea.
I don't know.
Like
I'd have to sit down with you. I'm going to be, not this week, but next week I'm going to be in Nanaimo. So
are you?
if you want to call Frida, make an appointment, I'll be happy to talk to you when I'm over there.
That would be great. Thank you so much. You're such a great advisor. I'm really learning a lot.
Well, Joanne, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the compliment, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call.
Well, thank you for being there.
I'll look forward to meeting you. You take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Joanne from Vancouver Island, that line is now open. So if you're out there, you're listening to the show, you have a question or a comment, it would be much appreciated because, the last thing I want to do is spend 2 hours just preaching and lecturing people. It's a long 2 hours, and I like this show to be interactive, and that means I have conversations with our listeners. And I reward our listeners who call this show by providing them with a seat at our next workshop, a written financial plan. You don't have one, it's time to get one. Even if you have one, it's time for a second opinion. And I guarantee that the written financial plan we're talking about is one that you will understand. I'm going to, rephrase one of my introductory comments when I'm basically saying I'm talking to people who are listening to this show right now who do not have a financial plan. Many of you don't. I'm talking to people out there right now that have a financial plan that don't understand it. Most people come into me for a second opinion on their investment plans, and they haven't got a clue. I say, do you understand this? No, I don't. They don't understand it. Now, there's no point in having a financial plan if you don't understand it. And then there are people listening to the show which would like a second opinion just to ensure, which will give them some peace of mind that they're on the right track. You have a financial plan, you're fairly confident that it's pretty good, but you want to double check that. So it's called a second opinion. So you have a financial plan, you're kind of happy with it, but you're not 100% sure, you want to check it out. Or perhaps you have a financial plan, but you don't understand it, or maybe you don't have a plan at all. Time to get one. Those three problems will be solved with a simple phone call. So once again, the number to call is area code 604-280-0650. If you're calling long distance, it's 1-877-280-0650. Frida's down at the office right now. For those who are shy, reluctant to talk on the air, area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. Just tuned in. I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also a registered financial planner. And we have Patrick from Vancouver on the line. Patrick, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Patrick. How you doing?
Good. Yourself?
I'm hanging in there.
Yes. I've been listening to your show, radio show, and I've been learning a lot of good stuff from you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Currently I co-own the house I'm living in with my mom. And if she pass on, do I have to pay probate taxes?
Now, you faded out there a bit, so could you repeat your question?
Sorry. Okay, so I co-own the house I'm living in now.
So you own a house with somebody else. Is that somebody else your spouse?
No, it's my mom.
It's your mother. Okay, you and your mother co-own a house. Okay, we got that so far. All right, continue.
Right. And so if she passes on, do I need to pay probate taxes?
It depends on how the house is owned. Here's the question. Is the house owned jointly with rights of survivorship?
I think so.
If it's jointly rights of survivorship, there's no problem with probate.
If not?
Well, there could be probate then, yes.
Okay.
Probate is 1.4% in BC.
Okay. Is there any way that I can bypass the probate taxes?
Again, own the house joint with rights of survivorship. If it's not that way, perhaps you can make it that way. That would be a legal issue. You would call Timothy Lack and ask him that particular question.
Okay.
Yeah, but the house has to be, and it likely is, the house has to be registered jointly with rights of survivorship. The key is rights of survivorship.
Okay.
And that would most of the time be the case. If that's the case, you don't have to worry about probate. It automatically becomes your mom's. Or if she passes away, it automatically all goes to you.
Okay, so now, will and estate. So I have siblings as well.
Okay, now you're fading out again. I don't know what's wrong. You're on a cell phone or?
Yes, I'm a cell phone.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, let me repeat again. So I have siblings as well.
Yes.
So she has a will. So how does that work?
Well, again, it depends on her will. If the house becomes hers in the event of your passing, then it depends on how she distributes the assets in the text of the will.
Okay.
But again, if you're unsure of that particular issue, you should call a lawyer by the name of Tim Lack or make an appointment and come in and see me, and we can review all that with you.
Timothy Lack?
Yes, Timothy Lack. I don't have the number at my fingertips, but if you need that number, you can call Frida, and you can reach Frida right now down at the office at area code 604-737-3512.
Okay. Can I get a copy of the 10-step financial planning process?
Yes, just ask her for that, and I'll make sure you get it.
Okay, and that's the same as the Napoleon Hill workbook?
You get the workbook because you made the call. That's an obligation that we have.
Okay. Thanks, Fred.
Patrick, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the call. That was an excellent call. Excellent questions. Take care. Okay, Patrick's line is now open, and we're here for the next 55 minutes or so, taking your calls, talking about financial planning, the need for having a financial plan, the fact that most people who have a plan don't understand it. God, I can't make that too clear. What's the point in having a plan if you don't understand it? And basically, a plan without the right products inside it is called a naked plan. Products without a plan is called naked products. But I think part of a good, solid financial plan, making sure that it's not naked, means you have a financial coach to go along with the plan. You need a financial plan. You need a financial advisor. I often call it the 3 Ps. The first P stands for you need a plan. The second P stands for you need planning. Planning involves, that's a process. That's a road that you travel. And to help you travel that road, you need a coach. Can you imagine a hockey team without a coach? Maybe the BC Lions need a new coach. That was a disappointing game yesterday. Okay? It looked for a while like they were really hot, and then they weren't. Maybe they need a new coach. I didn't say that. But the bottom line is, a lot of success depends on coaching. So it's vital that you succeed financially. I want you to think about this fact. You have this great job. You have a 6-figure income. And you're failing financially. You have this great job, a 6-figure income, you're failing financially. How do you fix that? Should you fix it? Are you not worried about that? I once had a lady who was a cook. She made maybe $25,000, $30,000 a year for most of her life. She had an investment portfolio that she transferred to me that was worth almost $1 million. And in the process of writing up the business, I asked her, what is the secret of your success? She said, I always religiously paid myself first. So this is what you do. You get your paycheck. As soon as you get your paycheck, you take 10% of your paycheck, 10 cents out of every dollar that you earn, and you put it to the side. You invest it. You put it into a bank account. You put it into a CD or a term deposit. You buy Canada savings bonds. I don't know. Doesn't matter at this point that much. But you put 10 cents out of every dollar aside. That's paying yourself first. You take the other 90 cents and you budget to pay everybody else. That's what you do. That's the secret. And God, is it really a secret? It must be, because not enough people are doing it. So I want you to think about that particular issue. Pay yourself first. Step number 1 in the financial planning process. Someone once said you need 4 kinds of money. The first thing you need is fixed income investments. The second need is cash investments. The next need is equity investments. And the last need is risk type investments, investments that protect you against risk. 4 cornerstones of a proper financial plan. Okay? Let's talk to Evett from Mission. Evett, welcome to the program. Hi, Evett.
Yes, my name is Yvette.
Yvette, hi.
Yvette.
How you doing? Sorry
That's
about that.
okay. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Well, I'm just listening to your radio program, and actually it's the first time I've ever listened to it.
Yes.
But I am retired. I'm in my 70s,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I had done quite well. But listening to you, I have questions, because one of them is my tax-free savings account doesn't earn any interest. So where do you invest that money?
Well, here's the question. What is your TFSA invested in?
It's invested in, I think it's invested in just GICs.
Well, GICs earn interest.
Very little.
I know that. Yeah, maybe 1.5%, maybe 2%.
Right.
Okay. Let me
some
put it.
of them I invested in the mutual funds.
Yeah, this answer is for you and all of our other listeners. Whatever you can put into an RRSP, you can invest into a TFSA. Okay? The qualifying investments for an RRSP can be stocks, they can be mutual funds, they can be GICs. Whatever qualifies as an RRSP would qualify as an underlying investment for your TFSA. So you can put risky investments inside your TFSA or low-risk investments. When they started the TFSA, I think they misnamed it. They called it a tax-free savings account. Hence, people thought they had to have an interest-bearing savings account as the underlying vehicle, not understanding that they could put investments in there that could do much better. There are investment funds that in the last 5 years, if you had them in a TFSA, you would have doubled your money. If you can get a 12% rate of return on your investment, you double your money every 6 years. So if you put an investment that's generating a rate of return at 12%, I'm not suggesting that's guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination, but if you did, you would double your money every 6 years, tax-free. So you got to make sure that the underlying investments inside the TFSA are the right types of investments. You got a fund called RBC Canadian Equity Income Fund, which perennially has been one of my favorite investments, but about 26% of that fund is invested in energy, and because of the energy component, the fund has not done so well in the last year, and it's dropped off a return of about minus 11%. But RBC Global Dividend Growth Fund has had a return of 16% in the last year. So maybe those investments should have been changed to that particular fund. So again, it's a question of looking at the sectors and how they're performing and understanding sometimes that investments need to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm told that there are people out there that have like hundreds of thousands of dollars inside their TFSAs because they're day traders.
I see.
They're speculators, and they're probably pretty good at it. But I also understand that CRA would look at those TFSAs and say, this guy is not an investor. This is his full-time job trading stocks.
A lot of people have that as a full-time job, yes.
Yeah, and they would make that claim and disallow that TFSA because of that.
I see.
So you got to be careful what you do. So if anybody's listening to this show and they're in that position, maybe it's time to make some adjustments in the overall plan. That's something very, very serious.
Yeah,
it's a serious situation.
I also have other savings that I put into an account, and I'm earning 3% on it, which is fairly good.
3% isn't bad as interest rates go these days. Yep.
But you have to pay tax on that.
That's exactly right. Interest income is not tax favorable.
Right.
You want to find investments where the tax is more favorable, more tax friendly. For example, if you get dividends, if you're in the top tax bracket and you receive dividends, you'll pay about 20% tax on the dividends. If you're in the top tax bracket and you get interest income, about half of that will go to the tax man. You get a capital gain and you're in the top tax bracket, you pay about 20% as opposed to half to the tax man. So what
I have to look at is where I would put that money so that I wouldn't have to pay that much income tax.
Well, the issue becomes one of how much risk you want to take and how much risk can you afford to take. You can't invest your money in so-called guaranteed investments and get away from the tax man unless it's inside your RSP, and then it's only tax deferred.
Right.
So there are you have to sit down with somebody, a financial coach such as
Actually, I
myself.
did sit down with a financial coach, and that was a few years ago. And they put my money into, well, of course, RSP. I have a lot in RSP,
Yes.
but I'm taking that out now slowly, so at a lower.
You've turned it into a RIF.
I did. Now
Yes.
it's in a rift, and I take the minimum out per year.
Yes.
But that's it kind of in the market. So the market is doing bad right now, so I never know where I'm supposed to go. So, because I was listening to you this morning, I figured that I would have to go back there and
Well, ultimately,
review my portfolio.
yeah, fixed income investments are only for those who cannot tolerate risk for whatever reason. And then you're going to sacrifice return, and you're going to have reverse risk in a sense, because the rate of return that you get isn't going to be enough to cover taxes and inflation. That in itself is risk.
That's what they told me, yes.
So you have to take some risk, but you have to be able to manage the risk or mitigate the risk. And the only way to mitigate risk is called diversify, diversify, diversify. You have to understand that you have what is, I'm getting technical, and I hate to do that on this show, but you have to understand that you have to have investments which are negatively correlated. So you get an investment, we'll call it A, and then investment B. So investment B has to be negatively correlated to investment A.
Oh,
so
boy.
if A is going up, B is going down, and the average of the two is a straight line, which is no risk. And that's what you try to do. That doesn't mean you're 100% accurate at doing it, but you have to sit down and design a portfolio where risk is reduced. Now, the way you measure risk is called standard deviation, and if you want low to moderate risk, you want an investment portfolio which has a standard deviation of around 5. 1 is no risk, that would be the GIC, and 10 would be moderate risk. This is 5, it's halfway in between. So that's kind of what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You can never absolutely get rid of risk when you're in the market, because that's called systematic risk. All market type investments have some sort of risk.
Right.
You can only reduce the risk, you can't eliminate it.
Okay, so I have so much in the risk part, the compartment. That's my RIFs.
Yes.
But I also have that savings that I'm making 3%. That's cash flow.
Well, that's not bad, but it's taxable. So after tax, you're probably getting 2.
I know. But 2 is better than nothing.
You're absolutely right. I would never disagree with you on that one.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm doing okay, but I love your program, and I will definitely listen to it every Sunday. And what I'm going to do right now is find out what my monthly expenses are, which just pay it and you don't even think about it. So I know what I'm bringing in, so I'm going to check and see what I'm spending and go from there.
Do you own your own house?
I do. I own my own place. I don't have a mortgage.
How much are your property taxes?
My property taxes are probably $23,000 a year.
Okay, that's pretty expensive. Okay, you ever consider deferring your property taxes?
No, I never have.
You can. If you deferred your property taxes, you'd
and
put
who has to pay that at the end?
Well, so what?
Oh.
You're dead.
Well, whoever gets my money will.
Yeah, well, okay. Do you have any kids?
Yes.
How many?
Just one.
Okay.
And a grandson.
Is he or she doing okay?
No.
Okay. Maybe make a deal with one of your kids. Say, look, I'm going to take half this money. I'm going to buy a life insurance policy and make you the beneficiary, and I'm going to use the other half to pay for my annual cruise.
Yeah, that's an idea.
I mean, these are just some of the things that you need to think about when you're doing financial planning, and you need to sit down with somebody that can come up with ideas like this that can help you. So once again, that must be a big house. I mean, that's a lot of taxes, okay? But that's $23,000 that you don't have to pay. And all you're really doing is enhancing the future well-being financially of your child
That's right.
at
yeah.
your current expense, okay, when you
Yes.
can defer that. Now, you can meet that halfway. You can simply say, okay, I'll use the money to buy, providing you're insurable, I'll buy a life insurance policy. I'll make my son the beneficiary. The proceeds of that life insurance policy are income tax free in the event that you pass away. So he will get, I don't know, $500,000 income tax free. He can use that to pay the property taxes and probably have something left over.
Yes.
And in the meantime, you got enough money to pay for a nice cruise every year, or a vacation, or whatever you want to use it for.
Right. Well, good idea. Well, thank you very much, and I've got some homework to do.
Okay.
And I will listen to you every Sunday.
Yvette, I really appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Very good call.
Thank you very much.
You take care. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we're down to about 20 minutes on the show. We're talking about your money, more importantly, about your money and how to keep it. I just got a signal. I guess we got to go for a break. We have to take a break. So when we come back, we'll continue to talk about your financial plan and why you do not understand it. Don't go away.
Fred Snyder.
Statistically, if you take 100 people who start out equal today at the age of 25, by the time they end up at 65, 1 is wealthy, 4 are well-to-do, 5 are still working, 36 are dead, and the rest are dead broke, dependent on family and state. That's over half the people who start out equal at age 25, by the time they end up at 65, are dependent on family and state. And that's a sad state of statistics.
Fred Snyder.
You need a blueprint that says, this is where you're at right now, and this is where you want to go, and this is the way to get there.
Fred Snyder.
So isn't it time to get that good, warm, fuzzy feeling because you know exactly where you're at? You know that your investments are going to work for you. You know that you have the right investments inside your financial plan. You're confident about the future because you've covered all the bases. You know exactly how much life insurance you need, and you have the right amount of insurance. You have a financial advisor, such as myself, or somebody that's equally competent that you can check with to determine whether you're on track or not. And whether you're on track or not, you know, I'd like to use the analogy, do you have a GPS?
Fred's got your GPS. Talk to Fred. Listen to Fred. Fred Snyder. Sunday mornings 9 to 11 on CIL 650. This is CISL Vancouver. Smooth and easy.
CIL 650.
You're listening to It's Your Money on CIL 650. Once again, here is Fred Snyder.
Okay, we're back. Again, we're down to short strokes. 18 minutes to go before we have to leave you. And again, we've been talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. That's the plan, basically, how to keep it. You see, if it's your money for a while, you earn it, it's your money. When you spend it, it's not your money anymore. So how to keep it is very, very important. And yet, we don't do a very good job in that particular area. Remind you once again, 100 people started equal today at the age of 25. By the time they end up at 65, 1 is wealthy, 4 are well-to-do, 5 are still working, 36 are dead, and the remaining 52 people are dead broke, dependent on family and state. Dead broke, dependent on family and state. You don't believe me? Look up DBS statistics. It's right there. It's been there for many, many years. Life insurance companies have used these figures endlessly as long as I've been in the business. I was taught early in my career that the secret of financial success is to pay yourself first. So you get your paycheck, you can't spend it all, especially if you take some of that paycheck and set it aside immediately. Don't put it in the bank. Set it aside in a separate account immediately. Pay yourself first. Take what's left and budget. Budget to pay everybody else. Before long, this will become a habit. And a good habit is just as difficult to break as a bad one. Imagine if you're addicted to saving money, obsessed about saving money. Could you possibly fail if that was the case? I've had people tell me many, many, many times, I know you're right. How could you argue? You're absolutely right. I should be doing this. But it's not quite the right time to do it. I'm going to wait till the baby's born. I'm going to wait till I get a raise in pay. I'm going to wait until Junior graduates from college. I'm going to wait till I get the car paid off. I'm going to do it, but not right now. And then the person reaches in their pocket, they pull out a package of cigarettes, and they light a cigarette up. And I think to myself, I've never ever had anybody ever tell me, you know something? I've decided to start smoking, but I can't afford to do it just yet. I'm going to wait till I can afford to smoke, and then I'll start. Ladies and gentlemen and listeners out there, give your head a shake. How much does it cost to smoke? The last time I looked at it, it's about $10 a day. $10 a pack for a package of cancer sticks. $10 for a package of cancer sticks. But you really have to earn $20, pay $10 of tax to have $10 left to buy those cigarettes. So in terms of before tax dollars, the cost of a package of cigarettes is $20 a day. Now, how many days are there in a month? We'll say 30. That's $600 a month to slowly kill yourself. It's a terminal disease, guaranteed to kill you. We just don't know how long it'll take. Now, my grandmother smoked. She lived to be 96, so I don't know whether cigarettes killed her or not. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to enough, you can find a way to come up with some money. So let's just suppose you put that $600 a month that you pay for those cancer sticks into an RRSP. And the RRSP generates $200 a month as a tax refund. You put that into a TFSA. And you do that long enough, you are going to accumulate millions of dollars. And if you don't have enough time to really do a good job, at least you're going to accumulate something. You're going to make your financial situation better if you do it. Period. We need to know this. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the key to financial success, and we'll talk more about that with Helen from Richmond. Helen, welcome to the program.
Hi, Fred. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Helen?
I'm good. I just wanted to ask you about putting real estate in two names, like if you're in your 60s and, you think, well, it's probably too soon, and how does that affect the other person's tax situation and so on?
Well, what kind of real estate are you talking about? You're talking the principal residence?
Residential, yeah.
If you're talking your principal residence, it doesn't. No effect.
No, but if you do it too soon, doesn't that affect the other person's taxes and
there's no tax implications on your principal residence. So if for example you were married, you had a spouse, and you're both on title on the house, then the principal residence is tax free.
Yeah.
To both parties.
This would be a child, and I wonder how it would affect.
Same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no tax on your if it's rental property, it's a different issue.
Yeah.
But in the case of your principal residence, there's no problem.
No, for some reason.
There may be some other problems, but not a tax problem.
What other problems?
Well, ownership issues. Let's say you put the house in the name of your son.
Yeah.
Half of it, and your son marries, and the marriage doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And then they split up, and then your son's spouse wants a piece of your house.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I'm aware of that one.
Okay.
Are there any other tricky
ones? The menu is long.
Oh.
I think before you make major changes in all these things, you need to consult with a financial advisor like myself, or you need to consult with a lawyer like Tim Lack about these kind of issues.
Okay.
When we're talking about assets and asset accumulation, and that's what we are talking about, ownership is a very, very important criteria. Who should own these assets? And then what are the tax implications of ownership?
Antiques and art and stuff, it's probably better to...
That's called listed personal property, and that can be tax problems as well.
Right. Okay, my other question is, I hope your class is starting soon. Do you know anything about that?
You need to talk to Frida.
Okay, I will. Thanks very much, Fred. Enjoy the sunny weekend. Okay,
Okay, Helen, you take care.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Okay, Helen's line is now open, so if you just joined us, I'm certified. Like I say, I got that stamp right in the middle of my back. I'm certified financial planner. Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner representing Scotia McLeod. Again, we're talking about your money. More importantly, about your money and how to keep it. The number to call, and we want you to call. We want to share this show with you, our listeners. The number to call is area code 604-280-0650. If you're calling long distance, it's 1-877-280-0650. You can log on, believe it or not. You have a laptop computer. You're in Australia. You want to watch this show. The internet is a fabulous setup out there. So you can, anywhere in the world, you can watch this show. Once again, www.CIL650.com. Now, some people are shy, reluctant to talk on the air. They tell me that when they come into the office. I'd love to call, but I'm shy. Call Frida. She's down at the office, www.CIL650.com. And then Frida down at the office, area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. So maybe you want a financial plan. It's free, no obligation whatsoever. It's not free in the sense that it takes a little bit of effort to get one. You've got to come down to the office. You want to get that Napoleon Hill workbook, you got to call the show. And again, that's highly valuable. Costs $24, but what's it really worth? If this puts you on the road to financial success, if this helps you create your future, and it's not just about money, if this helps you in that area, what is it really worth? All you got to do is make a phone call to get it, and I guarantee you I won't embarrass anybody here on this show. So again, 604-737-3512 to talk to Frida, but you want to talk live on the air at 604-280-0650. Remind you once again, week after next being Nanaimo, and again, long distance, it's 1-877-280-0650, or Frida down at the office, 1-800-661-1495. Remind you once again, we're talking about your money and how to keep it. I sometimes think we should call this show Money and How to Keep It, because that's the key. We earn it, but we do not keep it. Nobody ever taught us the fundamentals of how to earn money and keep it. Taught us how to earn it, but not how to keep it. Let's talk to May from Burnaby. May, welcome to the program.
Oh, hi, Fred.
Hi, May. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I was just listening to a caller of yours who was asking about the TFSA.
Yes.
And I was curious as to if I were to put my TFSA into a GIC and it earns interest, do I have to pay tax on that?
No.
Okay.
Anything a TFSA earns is income tax free. So if your risk tolerance is so low that you can't take any risk and you need to invest in so-called guaranteed investments, one of the best ways to get that kind of interest tax free is inside a TFSA.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the TFSA rules. You can now put up to and this is right now, you can put up to $10,000 for this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never had a TFSA in your entire life, you could now have $41,000 of contribution to TFSAs, and you can make those to catch up. If you have a spouse, that's $82,000 between you and your spouse that you can invest, and anything it earns is tax-free. So if you can get, if you're sitting out there right now and you have a GIC and you're married and you have less than $82,000 in it, up to $82,000, you can take that whole $82,000, put it into a TFSA, generate whatever the interest is, and pay no tax on it, simply by moving it from wherever it is right now into a TFSA. Now, you can put money into a TFSA and withdraw money. So, and then you can put it back. So if you took $5,000 out of your TFSA, you can't put it back in the same year that you took it out. It has to be the following year.
What about if I put it into mutual funds and it generates some interest? Would that also be interest-free and I don't have to pay taxes on that?
You never have to pay tax on profits made from an RRSP unless you're deemed to have made an over-contribution for whatever reason. So be careful you don't make an over-contribution. I have some people that take $5,000 out, they put it back the same year, then they transfer over to me from another financial institution, and they have a penalty, and they think I caused the problem. No, the problem existed before it came to us, because it was taking the $5,000 out and putting it back the same year that created the over-contribution.
Well, thank you very much.
So I can just say this for the benefit of anybody listening to the show. What you should do, if you've taken money, put money in, taken money out, what you should do before you make a contribution is phone CRA and ask them to give you your limit, and they'll do that.
Well, thanks very much, Fred. You have a good day.
Okay, May, you too, and I really appreciate your call.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now. Okay, May's line is now open, and we don't have much time left, so if you're out there, you can squeeze a call in. Remember, written financial plan, free. The Napoleon Hill workbook, absolutely free, $24 value. All you got to do is make a phone call. So squeeze another one in before we go and make a meaningful contribution to the show. If you want a copy of my 10-step financial planning process that I just went through, be happy to give you a copy of that as well. You can get that by giving Frida a call. Once again, Frida, 604-737-3512. That's 604-737-3512. 604-737-3512. Frida will be down at the office for the better part of the day. So you have a question or a comment, you want to make an appointment to see me for a second opinion on your investment portfolio, written financial plan, reserve a seat at our next workshop. All you have to do is give Frida a call. Once again, 604-737-3512. If you're calling long distance, it's 1-800-661-1495. Once again, you just tuned in, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner representing Scotia McLeod. We've been talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. And the best way to do that is to get yourself a financial blueprint. Get yourself a financial blueprint so that you can get your future financial situation success going today. Don't put it off. There's no point in procrastinating. That's what we all do. We're all procrastinators one way or another most of the time. You got to fight it. You got to be obsessed. You got to be proactive, not reactive. So don't wait for something to happen. Make it happen. Start forging your future today, your financial future. Remember what Napoleon Hill said once again, anything you can vividly imagine, ardently desire, believe you can achieve, and enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to pass. Enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to pass. So how do you enthusiastically act upon what we've talked about on this show? You make a phone call. Once again, you call Frida. You can reach Frida right now, 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. I have to go. I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder here every week between 9 and 11 talking about your money and how to keep it. See you same time, same station next week. Bye for now.
If you'd like Fred to review your portfolio, call his office right now at 604-737-3512. That's 604-737-3512.